And we are live. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We've got a great show tonight. But first, this is September 11th. And on September 11th, 21 years ago, we had a horrible tragedy in our country. Hold on, let me get Dan on here. Hi, Dan. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to take 1 minute of silence for all the people that died, over 3,000 civilians, hundreds and hundreds of first responders. I read a story today where two firefighters met, midway, and one of them had to go down. The other one was going to go up and try to save people. And his best friend was with him. He kissed the guy on the lips, as a friendly gesture because they knew they may never see each other again. And his friend went up and they never saw him again. And it's just kind of heartbreaking. But anyway, what I want to do is I want to show a couple of pictures. And right now we're going to start a moment of silence for 9/11. Okay, thank you. I had to do that. A very heartbreaking time for our whole country. And okay, next to me is co-host Dan McNew. He's got a wonderful podcast called Just the Facts Man. I watch a lot of stuff on it. Everybody I know does. I mean, he's very, very popular. He's got some fantastic things. He filmed the space shuttle exploding. I mean, how many millions of views do you have on that, Dan? It's just he's got
about 2 million.
Yeah,
wow.
He's got shows with 2 million views.
That's all.
I mean, Dan's got a lot of really interesting stuff. I highly recommend everybody go to Dan's Just the Facts Man and subscribe and check him out. You'll enjoy that. And hit the notification bell so you know when he's got something new coming on. Okay, below Dan and I is the one and only Lou Mars, multi-instrumentalist, award-winning drummer, author, LouMarsBooks.com. And Lou has won, he's won multiple drum awards. He won the Drum Your Way to Hollywood reality show. He won that whole thing. And Lou, you crack me.
Right.
But anyway, you got to check out Lou Mars. Lou Mars Books, LouMars.com. He's got a lot of great stuff going on. He's got a new band. They're rehearsing and getting ready to do some stuff now. And I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Let me switch back to the chat from the pictures. We got a lot of new people have joined us, and I got to say hi to a couple of people here real quick. Hi, Eddie. How you doing, Eddie? Eddie's got a great show. Eddie's Physical Media Talk. Everybody go check Eddie out. He's great. And we've got DJH Record Hound. DJH. Yeah, check out DJH Record Hound. He's got a good show, a lot of good stuff going on. Everybody go check out my friend Angela. Hi, Angela. And not to overlook our regulars here, like Kate Stoddard. Kate Stoddard has a great show. It's let's see, let me get this right. Okay, Kate Stoddard has a great show. Caitlin's Corner. She's a lot of fun. Kate's a kick in the ass. You want to go check out Kate Stoddard, subscribe to her. We've got AZ Mick here. AZ Mick's got another awesome. I have so many podcasters watching me now. This is fantastic. Okay, hold on.
You need to practice, Lou.
There we go. There we go.
Okay.
That's a backward
I'll
twirl, Dad.
I'll get caught up in a minute. Anyway, Eddie's Physical Media Talk. Great show, everybody. You got to go watch Eddie's fantastic. He's a lot of fun. And we've got Dana Hansen here. And
Dana's in the house.
Huh?
Wonderful.
Dana in
Wonderful.
the house. Dana in the house.
Dana in the house with Royce in the house. Dana, cheers. I'm drinking her
Dana's
amazing.
a fantastic musician, and her and Lou Mars make music together.
Oh, I got to give her a plug. The women's
the
women's organization in Chico has asked her to do a show featuring her on, I believe, Dana, correct me, is it October 18th? And guess what? I'm going to be backing her up on guitar and vocals. I'm going to be.
Oh, nice.
I have to wear a dress, but other than that, it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's worth the price of admission alone.
Okay,
yeah,
so tonight we're discussing one of my favorite genres of music, the blues. I've said this, a couple of people know this already. I was a member of the San Luis Obispo Blues Society, and once a month they had a blues show, and I would go to them and sometimes volunteer and serve food and stuff, you know. Volunteer, didn't cost anything to get in. Anyway, but it was great, and they sponsored a blues cruise to the Caribbean. I took the blues cruise. Etta James was supposed to be the headliner. There was a different blues act every night for 5 or 6 nights. Etta James was supposed to be the finale, the headliner, and she didn't make it, so we didn't get to see Etta James. But there were people like Junior Wells there, who I'd seen 2 or 3 times. He was very entertaining. And several other people that I was very well aware of, being a member of the Blues Society. I've always absolutely loved the blues, and I've always loved the influence it had on rock and roll. And we'll talk about that as well tonight. But the blues, the blues got started. It was kind of a, I don't want to go back too far. You can take little snippets and go all the way back to Africa if you want to, but they really weren't singing down on this killing floor in Africa. They just did things
it was called voodoo.
when the slaves were brought over here and they were working in the fields, and they had that holler and answer thing going on where you'd holler something out and then answer it yourself. And B.B. King kind of used that in a lot of his stuff, but he would holler it out, then answer with his guitar. It was his holler and answer, And so anyway, the blues really started taking off right at the end of the Civil War, when the slaves became emancipated. And the modern blues has its roots in the Mississippi Delta. Many African-American musicians, they fled the plantations and wound up in places like Chicago's. And that's where the Chicago blues got going and things like that. But the Civil War, 61 through 65, that era right in there is when the blues was really exploding. And what's interesting is they had what they call the Chitlin Circuit. And Chitlin was short for chitterlings. Chitterlings are the intestines of animals. That's kind of some people see it as kind of a delicacy. It's real popular in that community. And chitterlings are intestines mostly of hogs. And I remember when I used to work down in Guadalupe building affordable housing for field workers, my job was to teach them how to build their own houses, actually, years ago, late 70s, early 80s. It was really fun. And we would have huge barbecues at every milestone. All 10 foundations were poured. They'd bring out 50-pound bags of rice and beans. They'd either bury a pig or boil it in its own grease in monstrous copper pots. But one thing that always stands out to me, they always had tripas, which was kind of a milk duck from a cow, and tripe, which I think were the intestines. And when I hear about chitlins being intestines from hogs, that's what I think of, is my experience. And I really liked tripas. It was good. We had a lot of fun at those. But anyway, so that was kind of a delicacy. And the blues, let's see, they brilliantly nicknamed the circuit. See, this was during the Jim Crow era, where it was kind of not safe to be a black if you went to the wrong area. People were getting killed and hung and just brutalized, The Ku Klux Klan was in full force. So they had what they called a Chitlin Circuit. There was a circuit in Mississippi made up of juke joints, theaters, restaurants, bars, and all these different little venues. And it was like a circuit. And all of these blues artists would travel from one to the next, and they would do that circuit just over and over again. And it was like a safe zone, the Chitlin Circuit. And so that's where the blues was really starting to flourish. But the interesting thing about it is there's not a lot of written history. For one thing, the blues were kind of considered low class. And for the most part, you didn't see like white Americans listening to the blues. It was kind of strictly black, and the blues and country music both kind of started to getting into prominence at the same time. And what you found was the producers recognized there was a couple of genres they might be able to make a little money on. So they had the blues and the country, and they barely even separated them. And they started doing recordings, and they would record the blues primarily for black people. They'd record the country primarily for white people. And so the genre started to take off a little bit, and they started to finally get some recordings. So late 30s to late 60s, the blues were kind of taking off. And so Lou, you've got some things you wanted to talk about here.
Yeah. Well, first off, congratulations to the blues and what's happened in history. And there's still, the blues are a staple as a music teacher with the foundation of music theory in certain areas. The 12-bar blues are still used to this day. They're the 12
absolutely.
bar,
They're huge.
12-bar, yeah, rock and pop. The 12, and for people, what is that? What is 12-bar blues? Quick summation. There are measures in music. They go usually in fours, 8, 12. The blues brought this 12-measure turnaround, and it was a pattern of 4 measures of one chord, 2 of the next, 2 back to the first one, then 1, 1, 1, 1. And this is still used today in much of music as a pattern of writing.
That's exactly right. The 12-bar blues are huge.
That's it. Now, that's the good news. Now I'm going to debunk some of the other news that I don't agree with. So I'm going to be the Simon of the show a little bit. I'm going to be the two grouchy guys and the Muppets. Okay. So first off, what's interesting is what Royce just said about the most important thing I feel that you just said, Royce, about your history that people need to remember is that those studios were melded at the time together with country.
That's right.
A lot of those beats from the blues back in the day, those are called shuffles. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 2, da, da, da.
Right.
Slow it down, sit back on the beat, as we call it. Boom, boom, bop, boom, 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 bop. Got a kit right behind me, could lay it out right now. That's the blues. Well, wait a minute. I just said country shuffle, didn't I? So there's number one. Number 2, bands that get a lot of credit for bringing blues to rock and roll, such as Elvis Presley and Led Zeppelin, if you really dig in a little deeper, you'll find out that Elvis Presley, his music sounds a lot more like gospel, actually, than the black blues. Now, black was also gospel. So, yes, there's a crossover. But if you listen to Elvis' voice in his definition, his phonetics, the way he delivers, there's a lot of gospel in there, not so much the blues. And here's why I get away from the blues from being the foundation of rock and roll, which some people argue. The best drummers, the top 10 drummers, according to Modern Drummer Magazine, one that's even talked about me. Oh, my God. Modern Drummer Magazine is kind of like the Rolling Stone of drum magazines. So we listen to what they say. So there's the staple on that. Now, they put Keith Moon, John Bonham, Neil Peart, and guys like, of course, Buddy Rich at the top of the list of all-time drummers, all-time.
Right.
Those drummers all have one thing in common. Mm-hmm. Trick question. It ain't the blues. It's jazz. They're all from jazz.
They're all jazz, like yourself. So,
I'm a jazz drummer as well. But do I not use the blue? Well, of course, I use the 12-bar blues foundation, but my beats. Now, let's go to guitar. There's where the area where, man, what a difference the blues made in guitar. But here's what people don't realize what actually helped come from the blues.
Right.
Music theory still argues to this day that there's no such thing as a 2-note chord. That's a fact. They say 3 notes makes a chord. But back then, the black guys, man, they were poor. And I can say black guys because that's what we're white, they're black. Get over that shit, people. You have a problem if you're worried about that. So the black dudes back then, man, they didn't have any money. Their strings, they lucky if they had 2 or 3 strings on their guitars.
Look it up. 3 strings, right.
You guys, Bo Diddley's making a guitar out of a cigar box.
Right.
God's sake. Right? For real.
No, I
So
know.
they're using 2 fingers. Those dudes were using 2 fingers. If you watch some of the best blue dudes, like I met B.B. King in Tucson, Arizona. Two fingers, man, all night long. But they sure could jam. Now, Jimmy Page. We're like, Jimmy Page, man, he stole all their stuff. All right, listen to Mozart. listen to Bach. Jimmy Page came from a folk jazz foundation. Look at his old shows. He was on TV going doing gypsy jazz, man. So his leads are not the blues. You will not find Camerons in the blues. You know, you will not find trills and tremolo. That's all classical music, folks. Metal, especially, favors classical music. Yeah. Listen to Mozart or Bach.
The Mozart effect. You listen to it, you grow in intelligence.
Right. So yes, it had a staple, had a foundation. I think the biggest thing for me was that the blues were part of it, no doubt. And it was what was badass about the blues? It was American. It was American, man. Yeah, nobody else had. That's an American product. I'm proud of that.
It is
as an American. I am proud of that. And when a blues dude gets into it and he gets down, it's as sick and sad as a good country song, and that's good shit.
Yeah,
I'm with that. Well, that's my gripe.
Well, you know that the British couldn't believe that the blues were right here in America, and it took them to bring it over to us in rock and roll. We were really
to bring it back.
Yeah.
Well, Elvis was kind of on top of
Elvis,
but the Rolling Stones.
I'll go along with that for sure. But
Elvis was kind of there.
I was talking about the Chitlin Circuit a little while ago.
Yeah. Well,
this will blow your mind.
Go ahead,
it was so popular. Entertainers such as Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Jimi Hendrix, and Tina Turner, and so many others all traveled that Chitlin Circuit.
But they were Americans, right?
Yeah, they were Americans.
Okay, I was just checking. They're Americans.
Right.
But I got to give it to Mick Jagger, who was a white black dude. Who he had the lips, though. You know what I'm talking about, man. I'll be the one that says it. And he moved like a black dude, and those dudes hung out at the black clubs down where no one else went. And they were chill with the black people dug those guys. They were chill. They'd let them come in, and then the Stones would steal all their shit and go on stage. But that's the way it was. And it's just like Hendrix being the black guy playing white music. Right. We were the white guys playing black music, and it was huge. And you can agree or disagree with that, but man, if you listen to what I'm saying, it's
agree
true.
With that. I totally agree with
true.
That. Right.
I speak it the truth. Dan, what say you, Dan? Dan in the corner. Dan.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about blues or jazz, but I did a little bit of research, and when you think of blues, you think of Chicago, Memphis, New Orleans. But Dallas actually had a big impact as well. I mean, big time impact.
Okay.
We got a little entertainment district on the east side of downtown Dallas called Deep Ellum. And that's where it all originated here in Dallas, the blues. And a lot of people on that circuit you're talking about did come to Dallas and, actually live for a while.
Okay.
One of them is like Robert Johnson.
Cool. Robert Johnson?
Robert Johnson.
Yeah, now, definitely.
See, he came here he said most of his life he was a vagabond. But in 1937, he stopped in Dallas long enough to record a couple of dozen songs. One of them's called Hellbound on My Trail and Love in Vain. Now, Love in Vain is, that's later on the Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones did that one. And there was a couple that they did that were almost direct copies, but in more of a rock beat, of course. That's what all the British bands.
Led Zeppelin actually took one of his songs too, "Traveling Riverside Blues."
You beat me to it. That's
exactly right.
You beat me to it.
I got a whole list of songs Led Zeppelin took. But first, give me 1 minute to say to everybody in the chat, in particular, everybody nationwide. Okay, my good friend Dead Wax 66 is here tonight, and Dead Wax 66 has a good show. You need to look up old Dead Wax 66 and subscribe to him and have some fun listening to some bomb-ass music because he does a good job, just like Eddie's Physical Media Talk does. They play great, great music. And I also want to say hi to, let's see, it's going so fast in the chat. I got to go up and find her. Malia.
The chat's on fire.
That's Malea, Malia. Malia, then JRNY. Malia has a great show. Check Malia out. Check out Dead Wax 66. These are good shows, and these are great people. Okay, back to you, Dan. Sorry.
One of the things, too, you talk about that Chitlin Circuit, that must have been a pretty rough time because, first of all, they they didn't get paid much to begin with, so they're pretty much broke all the time.
Right.
And one thing I did notice on several of the artists here in Dallas that they died actually fairly young, and like Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson died at 27. He's actually a member of the 27 Club.
And they think he died from being poisoned by a jealous husband.
Being poisoned, yeah. I think it was a club owner that he was playing in. I call there's different stories because
I can relate to that.
there's very little reliable news about the early blues because they didn't keep records of anything.
It's like medieval times.
Well, obviously,
pretty much for blues, that was the medieval times.
It was the medieval times of music.
Yeah,
that may have been the beginning of groupies. Maybe I don't know.
I think Krupa had groupies, man. I think that groupies were always. It's like prostitution. It's an all-time thing.
Okay, so Robert Johnson. You know, that song Crossroads. I mean, Eric Clapton did it in a band before he was in the Cream.
Great
did
stuff.
it again in the Cream. That's a very popular blues song.
Badass song.
And there's words in there that like this. Eric Johnson and the Crossroads. He wrote the song. He sang it. He also was able to record 29 songs, and I have them all here somewhere. I went to the Crossroads, fell down on my knees. I went to the Crossroads, fell down on my knees. Ask the Lord, have mercy now. Save poor Bob, if you please. Anyway, the rumor about that is a great blues musician, Sunhouse, and another one, Willie Brown. They were playing on the Chitlin Circuit. They were playing Delta blues tunes to packed houses, and Robert Johnson was sitting there waiting for his turn. And when those guys came off, Willie Brown and in particular Sunhouse is a big name. They came off stage. Robert Johnson went up there and grabbed one of their guitars and started playing it. He was almost booed off the stage. Let me see if I can find the way they put 19 years old, bright-eyed 19 years old, conjured up the courage to take hold of the musician's instruments and show the crowd what he got. Even Sunhouse admitted that his guitar playing was severely below par, but he was a better harmonica player. But anyway, he wasn't very good. But he was traveling the Chitlin Circuit, and oftentimes you got paid in chitlins. You just got something to eat and you get the money.
Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
So all of a sudden, Robert Johnson just disappeared. Nobody saw him for, I think it was a couple of years, a considerable length of time. And when he came back, he had songs like The Crossroads and a bunch of other songs. And hold on, I got some pictures here I'm going to have to throw up here for a minute. And he came back and he was playing all these great songs. And even Sunhouse and the other guy, Willie Brown, they stood there with their mouths open. It's like, how did he get so good so fast? The last time we saw him, he couldn't even play the damn guitar, And but he did. He got real good real fast. Here's a picture of him. Robert Johnson.
Look at that guitar.
Yeah, probably 3 strings, right?
Yeah, I was just looking. And listen to the gospel in his lyrics, by the way, what you just quoted, Royce.
Yes.
Could have been from a gospel song, right?
Yeah.
It's about God. It's about struggle. It's about, the day of reckoning type things. That's what they were singing about there, because these black boys came from gospel roots, man.
Well, look at the picture of the devil there.
I know. It's everything I said.
It's
everything I said already. It's just that you're just knocking it home.
The 2 different people claim credit for where the Crossroads are. 2 different locations. I mean to say.
You mean they've got it down to 2?
Okay, so when he finally came back after being gone for so long, he had songs like Up Jumped the Devil, Me and the Devil Blues, Crossroad Blues, Hellbound Train. So a lot of the blues songs that were good songs that people liked had the devil in them. And so the rumor started that he went down to the Crossroads. He really wanted to be a better guitar player because they were making
sold his soul.
Nobody liked his music. He wasn't very good. And as the story goes of the Crossroads, he sold his soul to the devil to be a better blues guitar player. And that's what the Crossroads story is all about. And he came back and he was fantastic. And you know, I mean, the truth of the matter is he might have went as far as up north to New York and learned from somebody really good, came back. I mean, I don't know what the odds are of him selling his soul, but that was the rumor. That's the story. It's survived to this day, and it's still a popular story.
Now, do we know where the Crossroads was recorded at? Where was that recorded? Because I know he recorded a dozen songs here in Dallas.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, and Eric Clapton was so impressed with his recordings that he made a pilgrimage to Dallas, to the recording studio, just to be in the same, in the same room that when it was recorded.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and what I'm going to do, I discovered that recording studio. Well, at least the address is still there.
Oh, so cool.
Maybe I think I'm going to go down to that address and see what if the studio still exists.
Dude, you got to let us know.
Great.
I thought he ended up with
I know
Sun
I have
Studios.
it somewhere here in my 20 pages of notes. Because they talked about the studio and they talked about blues starting to get recorded finally, along with country.
So let's talk about that real quick, though. Those studios that were big behind these black dudes were a handful of white dudes with money that were also taking huge risk. They were taking huge risk in two areas. They were supporting a group of people that couldn't even drink from the same water fountain as a white person back then. That's the way it was. And that's not that long ago, folks. It's not that long ago.
You know, Dan, I remember it in my youth.
Yeah.
The fire hydrant hoses being turned on them in marches.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So here's a white guy who has no backup, decides to open a recording studio, which was expensive as hell back then, just to get 4 tracks. You know, it wasn't until Sgt. Pepper that Martin put 2 4-tracks together to make an 8-track. So they're doing live room studio work. Right. And these white dudes recorded these black guys because they didn't see the color. They were colorblind. They heard the music and they're like Royce and Dan up above me going, this is badass shit.
Yeah, this is badass shit, man.
I'm going to capture it. Yeah. And I'm going to, they weren't thinking about the dollar. This was a risk. They could have got a safe white boy from church and made more money. Right? I'm just being real. They took a chance. They took a chance and they took this outcast black dude who's doing this stuff and they're like, I'm putting you in the studio, man. I'm going to put everything behind you. That's badass. And so what we need to talk about, sometimes we talk about what all the mistakes the whites made, but there were some whites that didn't make mistakes, that saw the value of our brothers. And because of those white dudes, these black dudes were badass today. So I just want to say that we hammer ourselves as a white male a lot, but there were some cool white males back then that weren't assholes.
Well, you know that the British and American bands that were kind of, using the blues music, and a lot of them had to pay some royalties later. A lot of them were happy to pay their royalties later, but it benefited both sides. One, they were great songs. They were great songs, and everybody loved them because blues artists were
a good song's a good song, as I always say, right?
But two, it gave all these blues artists new notoriety they had never had before. And publicity. So both sides benefited from it.
Well, Chuck Berry.
I got to read this little. I got a little partial list I want to read.
Remind me to bring up Chuck Berry after you read the list, because I want to talk about him sleeping in his car. What he said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, no. What I really want to read right now is Robert Johnson was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1986, and the category was early influencers. Okay. And the same night he was inducted, and wait till you hear this lineup: Chuck Berry, James Brown, Ray Charles, Sam Cooke, and Fats Domino.
Holy shit.
In the same night.
How would you like that as a band?
Oh my God. I mean, that is just like badass, man. I
might buy a ticket. I might buy a ticket. Shit.
Yeah. No kidding. I would buy a ticket for sure.
The sad thing about Robert Johnson too, he never realized the impact of his music. Because after his recording sessions here in Dallas, after releasing those 12 songs, he died 14 months later. So he never realized how powerful his music was. Yeah,
he died at 27, just when he was reaching. I'm just glad that he got to record 29 songs. He got them recorded. And I have those. I have those dating back to the early '90s. I bought 3 or 4. It was a 3 or 4 CD set of all of his recordings, and it might even have been cassettes. I can't remember right now. I think I still have some of them. They must be CDs if I still have them, because I don't have any cassettes left. But anyway, I remember I had some guys working for me. We were all into rock and roll. And I would take those tapes and play them every day, and it would just drive them crazy.
Uh-oh.
They really weren't that into it. So, hey, Dan, are you okay there?
I'm fine.
How about you, Lou? Okay.
I think Lou
like
everything kind of. I'm back now. Yeah, everything's spinning out all of a sudden intermittently.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought was happening. Yeah. I didn't realize at first that I didn't have my. I wasn't plugged into my router last week. I run a cord out the office door. I haven't routed it through the attic yet. Okay, well, we're losing Lou again.
Yeah, I'm going in and out as well. It's weird. It says unstable internet, but I'm showing a full signal. Let me double check.
Right. So Dan, you were saying that there's a recording studio in Dallas where a whole lot of the blues artists came up and recorded.
Well, at least Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson did, huh?
I'll just have to do a little more research on who all did record there. Do a little more research on that studio. There's another one here in Dallas too. Another artist, Blind Lemon Jefferson.
Yeah, absolutely.
I haven't heard that one.
And he actually, I think Cheech and Chong did a little skit about him once in one of their albums called Blind Mel and Chitlin.
That's funny,
well,
Dan.
I wanted to say about Chuck Berry 2 things. One, there's a documentary where Chuck himself was so pissed off at how he was treated by the white community at the time, and he still is if you listen to his interviews. But I can't imagine what it must be like to be like a big star one moment and you're treated like God on stage, and you walk off and the guy calls you boy in the room when you're trying to check in, right? That's bullshit. I get it.
Right,
so he would, even when he started to make money, he slept in his car at the shows when he toured. And he said the reason why, he said, I refuse to give any of my money to the man. And I get that, man. I totally get that. And I think it's a big thing about music and about the soul of these guys. Chuck, he believed so much in what he was doing that he put up with a lot of shit. And a lot of these guys put up with a lot of shit just to play night after night. And you got to salute that, because that's the love of music. Where certain areas, I walked into Utah in the late 80s. We were on tour. We got our bus stopped in Utah. We all had really long hair. We walked in to a restaurant and they refused to serve us. To serve us. Yeah, we walked in and we're standing there. They wouldn't seat us. This is Utah. So can you imagine being a black dude? And I was like, this must be what the black guys feel like. They can't get food. They can't use the bathroom. We have no idea. So the music, though, brought us all together.
Right.
James Brown, when the shit was going down in L.A. about that dude who messed with the cops. I'm not going to get into the King thing, but it was him. He stood up, did a free concert immediately. I believe it was New York, and said, hey, everybody, chill. So those are guys from those roots that brought us not only music, but helped bring us together as races. Because I got to tell you, when I saw James Brown, all I could think of was, how can I dance like that? How do I move like that? How do I be a front man like that? And guess what? So did Michael and so did Prince, right? They were like, whoa, yeah, I'm going to move just like that. I'm going to dance like that. That was what those guys did. Now, that's where the blues had an influence. Right there. Physically, emotionally, and then that's the heart and soul of the blues that I'll be positive about.
Right on.
All right, I'm off my I got to do my soapbox moment every show.
You're going to have more of them too. Dead Wax is confirming what you were saying, Dan, that Crossroads was recorded in San Antonio at the Gunter Hotel.
That's amazing, because I've actually stayed at the Gunter Hotel before.
Oh, have you really?
Yeah. They say it's haunted.
I was just up in a haunted hotel in Oregon. You know what I love about Dan is he's so true to his state, man. This dude is so proud of his state. He always brings, and Texas did this. It's like, Dan, that's badass, man. You know,
hey, it's the only place to be.
They got to put you on TV. Texas, put Dan on TV on your stuff, man. He needs to be on television over there. You can sell that state, brother. You can sell it.
You know,
Dana saw Blind Lemon in Houston. Damn, Dan, Texas. Taking over.
Well, she saw the band. She saw the band Blind Lemon, not the man. The man died in 1929, so I don't think she saw him in concert. But there was a band called Blind Lemon. I guess they took the name from him. But yeah, you talk about the conditions they lived in. Now, Deep Ellum here in Dallas at the time was all black, and that's where they basically all lived, and that's where the blues developed from here in Dallas. And nowadays it's just a modern entertainment district. You know, rock and roll, heavy metal. It's got everything now. Right. And the actual real name of the area is called Deep Elm, ELM, but they pronounce it Ellum, and it just stuck. So it's called Deep Ellum. Wow. And you know, even way back then, I guess, you know, I was reading here about Blind Lemon Jefferson that he used to go down to the corner of Elm Street and Central Expressway, which was just called Central back then, and set up shop and perform out on the streets for tips or whatever. And he'd have people like T-Bone Walker with him, and another blues guy named Leadbelly. They'd be on the street corner just doing for tips or whatever. And he eventually went back to Chicago, and he mysteriously died. They don't know if he died of a heart attack. Others claimed he was poisoned, like Robert Johnson. And others say he froze to death. So he didn't have a good ending. But
hey, Richie.
Yeah.
Richie.
Hey,
what's up,
brother? Hey, brother from
Richie.
the same mother. How you doing?
Richie.
Oh, my goodness.
Your power knocked me off.
It did not. I've been hanging around here for 10 minutes. He had 10 more seconds to get me on here, and that was it.
I didn't know that. I didn't see you
just
down
knocked
there.
evil off the channel.
Happened.
Wow, I'm looking a little weird tonight, but that's okay.
Oh, no. You're looking like you always look. Weird as ever.
That's not funny.
brothers.
I'll tell you right now.
Hey, that
Royce,
person that
Royce
said
has never
in
been
the
funny.
chat. Oh, go ahead.
Royce has never been funny, okay?
He's hilarious.
It's between the brothers, Kate.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta go get me a hat. I got a big old Easter hat. I'm gonna put on.
So that's
big
that
Easter hat. That'd be good. That's an Easter bonnet, I hope.
I got something to say about blues. My whole career as a lead guitar player come off of one blues scale that one teacher taught me when I was about 14.
The minor pentatonic.
Well, I called it a blues scale, but I guess it's a minor scale.
Yeah. And
he showed me that in key of G, you know, G bar chord to the blues scale, and I turned that into every key, you know, and then I figured out how to make major scales out of it in other keys and filler notes, everything else. It all came off of that one lesson.
You need to teach me that.
Yeah.
I need help.
And I just kept on expanding and doing stuff over the years and played lead in a lot of bands, you know.
Richie would come to my house and I'd be like, I'd been practicing lately and I'm playing like, you know, Eric Clapton's, you know, Tears in Heaven and things like, teaching him parts of it and stuff. Then he'd come back a few years later like, so what do you know now? I can't remember any of it. I haven't played since I saw you last. You know?
Oh, man. I remember when me and my son came up and he brought his bass.
Okay, now this is weird. Okay, there's Lou. Okay, I got two Lou's.
What the heck is going on? Oh,
I got twins.
I'm in twice. How am I in there twice?
I know you are. I'm trying to rectify
evil me.
That. Here we go.
Talk about ego. Not really.
We've got 4 Lou Mars.
Line them up with Lou. Hey, I like that name. Line them up with Lou.
Okay, Lou's frozen again. Lou, you're frozen.
Lou, pay your power bill. He's gonna hate me now. Gonna give me a hate card. Hey, that would be a new one out. Let's write some hate cards.
Right.
It'd go right along with what's going on in the country right now.
I think I better remove this bad Lou and see if the good Lou comes back. Oh, here we go. Here's the good Lou already.
Anyway, I just wanted to say about that.
That's the bad one. Here we go. Lou, pay your power bill.
Here he is.
I know. I'm an artist. I only give food.
You're on the
They don't
Chitlin
take that
Circuit.
at the power
I think
company,
he's on
do
the
they?
Chitlin Circuit. He's playing for Chitlin.
No, they don't. Yeah, hey, PG&E, come play my gig. Will you bring some power?
Yeah.
Right?
We'll bring a battery converter with some car batteries.
You'll get exposure, PG&E. People don't know who you are.
Well, I got to tell you,
I'm watching you guys. I'm sitting here watching you guys, and I said, I got to come on there, man. I got to get on there.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, by the way,
I've seen some great blues acts. I've seen B.B. King twice. I've seen Buddy Guy either 2 or 3 times. I tell you, those guys are great. The fun thing about B.B. King, and I've noticed this with several other blues players, he'll play a song and then he'll tell 2 stories. Then he'll play a song and tell 2 stories, and he loves to tell stories and interact with the crowd. And you know what? You love hearing the stories. He does such a great job. But I've seen him at couple of, I think, Chumash Casino and someplace else, and then I've seen Buddy Guy at the Blues Festival. You remember when we had Otter Productions, the guy that owns Otter Productions on? Well, he had one of the tribute to Hendrix concerts in Avila Beach, and Buddy Guy was there, along with like almost every badass guitar player on the planet.
I saw Buddy Guy. He's bad. He is badass, even at his old age.
Buddy Guy is amazing. He really is.
It's kind of creepy when he's talking about sex and shit, though. And he's all, talking about, doing his guitar and shit, looking at the ladies. And he looks like he's almost 78 or so. Like,
I didn't hear that.
Oh, jeez.
In fact, I've got a picture here of Buddy Guy I'm going to put up. I've got a few pictures here. Let's see. I've got, well, let's just start up here. What is this? Bo Diddley with the cigar box guitar.
I seen Bo Diddley at the Showboat in Vegas.
Oh, did you really?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
Some friends of mine were backing him up in the band, so they told me they were playing with him, and I went and seen him.
Here's Willie Dixon, the 5th member of Led Zeppelin.
That's not true.
Here he is. Here's Buddy Guy.
Right on.
Howlin' Wolf, baby. Boy, the Brits love them some Howlin' Wolf. If Keith Richards or Mick Jagger got a hold of a Howlin' Wolf album, they'd spend 3 days in the apartment smoking cigarettes and listening to Howlin' Wolf.
Yep.
The one and only Stevie Ray Vaughan trying to age his guitar a little more.
I've actually seen that guitar.
Wow.
At Stevie Ray Vaughan Remembrance Ride. It was an annual event. He had his guitar displayed there. Another Dallas native.
Eric?
Of course, Clapton. He's always associated with the blues, going way back. Eric, John Mayall on the Blues Breakers, featuring Eric Clapton. You name it. I mean, and of course these boys right here, they played a bit of blues in their time, a bit of Willie Dixon, and maybe even some Howlin' Wolf. All right, let's get back to the comments so I can take down one that's up right now. I'm looking for DJH Records. Here we go, baby. Okay, we're back. So, Richie, so now when you were with your son's band, Jack Bone Dixie, up in Stevenson, Washington, you guys played one blues song that was so tasty. You remember
that was the one Emily wrote. Maker of My World.
Maker of My World.
Yeah.
And that was getting a lot of play on some of these stations that
some of the satellite stations, yeah.
The satellite stations, yeah. Yeah, that was a great song. You did a great job on those tasty blues licks that you were laying down. We
did that recording you heard, that was one take at Richie's house, recording those guitar parts.
No kidding.
Yeah. It came out the first time. I thought, we listened to it and I said, that's it, man. I don't think I would do any better than that. It was just one of those things, I didn't want to try to improve on it because it just happened,
Right. Yeah.
So it was great.
Hey, if you don't need to improve upon it, don't try.
Yeah. I knew I never would. It was just one of those things you get right the first time. So that don't happen very often, but it's like a hole in one. Might get 2 in a lifetime, right?
Right.
I was talking about Blind Lemon Jefferson a minute ago. Somebody that did a remake of one of his songs is Bob Dylan. Name of the song is "See That My Grave Is Kept Clean."
Yeah.
Speaking of Buddy Guy, I was front and center with him watching him play. And there's another guy, 2 fingers all night long, 2 fingers going up and down, 2-finger chords. And it was amazing. I mean, you're sitting there, the sound he's getting out of doing power chords only, up and down. That's what we call in rock and roll, power chord. You're doing 2, and you're striking 2 or 3 notes only on that guitar. It's really cool. And those guys mastered that. Especially what's different about them is they're doing it in the middle of the guitar. A lot of rock and metal, we do it at the edge. We do the 6 and the 5 string. And for the folks, that's the top, thicker strings. But these blues guys are doing it in the middle of the guitar. Now, the theory behind that is because they didn't have a 6 and a 5 string. So they're used to playing it there. We'll never know if that's true or not, but it kind of makes sense because when you learn guitar at the beginning, you're not going to jump in the middle. It's harder. You're going to go for that thicker, fatter sound on the 6th string. But
right.
But man, they do it well.
When I was at June Fest here in Vegas, when we lived in Vegas years back, so it's a festival they have every year, and they call it June Fest. It's like almost in the heat of the summer, pretty close to it. But they had I didn't even know this guy was going to be there, but I'm sitting there, it's packed and everything, and Greg Allman comes on, right? And he's got only like maybe a 5-piece band, maybe 6 with congas, and they did like 45 minutes of straight blues stuff.
No kidding.
He played a Hammond B3, and he had, guitar, bass, drums, percussion, and a black dude singing, and it was just totally cool. Just kick back, and it was just like this boogie going the whole time.
Boy, if there's a great reason,
he was married to Cher at the time
for that period. The B3 is ordered a lot at festivals. We would play festivals, and about every wannabe keyboardist would order the B3 to be on stage. For you folks who don't know what a B3 is, it's the ultimate organ, and it has a Leslie speaker that spins. It's a 6x9. Some of them have the horns, but they spin, and it creates a sound that still to this day, electronics have not been able to simulate 100%. They get a kind of sound, but if you want to hear a great B3 organ at some of its best, one of the bands would be the Allman Brothers. I would agree with you right there, Richie. Man, that dude can lay into a B3 organ. Yeah. And it's just, you hear that. Whoa. That is badass.
Deep Purple did have
I was going to say Deep Purple, too. Yeah, Deep Purple. The entire Machine Head album, masterpiece with a B3, right?
My son started refurbishing those B3s. Just the Leslie speakers. We started refurbishing them, putting them in cabinets and reselling them.
Just putting in the Taurus pedals, plugging those in. I used to help on stage. They got to line up perfectly. And by the way, I shared a video recently with Royce and Dan of a dude playing a B3, and he comes to the point toward the end he's playing, and he starts jamming with his feet on the Taurus pedals like you've never seen before. It's like a tap dancer rocking out. And my point of sharing the video was just when you think you've seen it all with an instrument, some young dude comes up and blows you away with some other new technique. And you're like, everything's been done. There's nothing left. This dude did a drum solo with his feet on a B3 organ. It was badass.
Hey, you know what? We got to give JB kudos here. He's at work and he's listening to us, watching on a computer, using his phone to communicate. Thank you, JB. We really appreciate
hardcore, JB.
That's great.
You must have a nice boss.
Great man right there.
Yeah, right. Remember the Merlin Olsen commercials where you had those little mugs with the flowers? We need to send him one of those. What do they call it? The little Buster.
Another shout out that I haven't given yet, Richie Eddings, the Jesus Movement. This is my brother, Richie Eddings. And we spent our lives together. We had gotten all kinds of trouble.
We got
death with a leather belt, and then we'd look at each other. We look so funny crying. We start laughing. We get beat again for not.
High five.
No, everybody go. You guys on the top do this with your hands almost together.
It's like the Brady Bunch.
Just one hand almost together. Now we're gonna pray with holding hands. See, we didn't do it right. We didn't do it right.
But
Richie,
Richie,
give me a high five.
really, Richie's really helping a lot of people out with his with his podcast, the Jesus Movement, and he's a lot of fun. He plays his guitar. He plays multiple songs during his show, and he's a great guitar player, playing his whole life. Taught him everything I knew, you know.
Yeah, you did, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't played any of it since then.
He stole all my Credence tapes in no time at all. Remember that? You stole all my Credence 8 tracks.
You know what?
Richie had a band in like junior high of kids in the neighborhood, and every single one of them he taught how to play their instrument. The drummer.
And we were pretty darn good.
Yeah, I mean, all the little girls were crowded around from the neighborhood watching and stuff.
Like 12-year-old groupie. We had like 8 to 12-year-old groupies.
I told you, groupies throughout time. You don't have to invent those.
What do you do when you're 70? You still get them, I guess, right? Groupies?
Absolutely.
Shit happens. Well, there's 70-year-old groupies.
What's the age? What's the age limit?
I believe it's 18.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
That's the law.
Then things are looking up. Then things are looking up.
Yeah. Have you seen Steven Tyler? I've seen that guy on TV, and he'll be talking to a young singer, and she'll be like flirting with him, and you're like, holy shit! You're like, what, 25? You know? Oh my god! And he's what, 70 something? I mean, how old is Steven Tyler nowadays? Somebody answer that in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, you know what?
He's got to be.
Those guys are really getting up there, man.
He doesn't. He looks like my grandma now, but he's still badass on stage. You know.
Yeah.
I don't like Mick Jagger. Look at Mick Jagger is 70 something. You know.
Yeah.
74 or some shit.
Yeah.
The speed he has, but he's still moving more than
he's sprinting on stage, up and down, scaffolding and all kinds of crap.
He's always had so much energy. It's always been unbelievable.
Yeah, that's been his staple. You know, he's like the ultimate moving front man. I mean, nobody ever will move like him. I mean, well, with that said, James Brown, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're also moving a lot, but Mick is a whole different game, man.
Look at Gary. Gary's telling it like it is. Keith Richards looks old. Yes, he does.
Keith Richards
always
looked old. Yeah, he looked old at 23. I looked at that dude. He looked like shit. Right?
He really has always looked
old. I love all those jokes about Keith Richards.
It's true.
You know, we're supposed to think about the world we're going to leave him.
Leave a better planet for Keith. Yeah. Bad news. Keith is still alive. Oh, poor guy.
He was different. He had some different licks, but you know, he did a lot of licks when his guitar was tuned to a chord, which I don't think a lot of people. That's why a lot of us. I couldn't figure some of them out. I was thinking, how in the hell is he doing that? You know,
Keith was a big supporter, and he idolized Chuck Berry, and there's a great documentary where he finally gets Chuck Berry to play with him. And unfortunately, my take on it, Chuck was like an asshole through the whole thing to Keith. I watched that. I was like,
he was a total prick to
being
Keith
a dick.
He was being
you know? Yeah, and I was all like, wow, Chuck, what are you doing, man?
I think one story I read is Keith walked over and picked up one of his guitars, and he came over there, grabbed it, and punched him in the face.
No shit.
Yeah.
Well, all I know is every bit of that show, I felt so bad for Keith because I don't know if that was the editing or what, but man, Chuck looked like a dick.
Who would do something like that? That's like that. What happened to Chris Rock and what's his name's deal?
Oh God, yeah.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, yeah.
People are still. Oh, there it is. So, thank you, JB. Is JB the dude at work? Did he just answer that while at work? JB, you're gonna get fired. Stop it, JB. We don't want you to lose your job over us. Mm-hmm. He's looking up shit now for us while on the clock. Shh, boss, we love him.
That stuff's embarrassing.
Hey, speaking of James Brown, did they ever bury James Brown?
No, he's like Elvis. He's never going to die.
You can't bury James Brown.
The family
pops back up.
You cannot bury James Brown. Forget it. He won't let you.
I just know when me and my friends were little kids, we spent not all our time, but a lot of time up at the Henderson Theater. You'd see two full motion, length pictures for like 35 cents. For 50 cents, you could have Coke and candy and watch two movies. And so, I mean, this is a great place for parents to drop their kids off. get rid of them for the whole freaking weekend. Drop them off the stage for a while. But one day we were up there watching, a movie, and they put a little special on, and it was a special on James Brown, who we'd heard of. We're like, I don't know, 6th or 7th grade. We didn't really know who he was. But he got up there and started singing. And me and my friends used to make fun of stuff like that. He's singing, and they kept bringing over a cape.
Oh, yeah.
And he
the whole fighter routine. Yeah, that's a good one.
And then he started going crazy, singing and dance again.
But I'm back.
He'd walk up and try to put a cape on him, and he'd throw it off again. And he did that 5 or 6 times, and we were just rolling in the aisles.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one. I saw that on TV. The whole fighter thing.
Yeah.
I remember.
But I can't imagine Barry and James Brown. He'd keep jumping back out of there saying,
"That's
wow,
it.
Get away from me!"
The flag, yeah. I mean, when I saw that dude, and here's another guy. To me, James always kind of looked old when he was young. He had that kind of just that look to me. And when he came out stage, though, and then the first thing he'd be all of a sudden, he'd push the mic forward. It would bounce off the ground, come back, and he'd grab right. You go wham. The mic stand would come back, and then he'd do a split. That would be like the opening. That was the start of the show. Have you never seen that? Oh, no. Check him out. He pushes the mic down, he slams it, and it bounces off the stage back up into his hand, and then he drops into a split. And you're like, what did I just see? What did I just see? And that's the opening.
I know. I was kind of an older teenager, maybe 17, 18, when I started to appreciate James Brown, especially some of the sax playing on some of his songs and stuff like that. That was just fantastic.
I didn't give a shit about his music. I just loved watching that dude, man. I didn't give a shit. The minute I saw him on stage, I couldn't stop watching him. I was addicted. I was like, this dude, who is this? What is this?
He created all that moonwalk stuff. I mean, all that sliding with his feet. He did like
Michael
a Pluto
and
walk,
Michael and Prince. It's like the first time when I turned on a late night show, I'll never forget, and David Bowie was in Whitey Tighties. That's it. Singing a song. I don't know what the song is to this day. All I know is Bowie was in his underwear singing on national TV. I've never seen anything like that. This guy was blown away. Like, how did this guy wear underwear on TV? It's always on my mind. And then I followed him ever since. Ziggy Stardust. I was like, wow.
You know what? I'm gonna do a public apology right now. Last week, my dear friend Gloria, who's a huge Bee Gees fan, somehow during our psychedelic show, she put 2 messages up saying Sir Barry Gibbs's birthday was that very day, as well as his anniversary.
No!
And I didn't see it till the next day when I was rewatching the show. And the chat was on. I went, "Oh my God!" So Gloria, I'm sorry about that. I wish I would.
Sorry, Gloria.
Yeah, we're all sorry. It's really kind of Lou and Dan's fault, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It is. Well, narcissism is not easy to deal with.
Well, you had a bad internet connection last week anyway.
Did I? I thought it was this week.
No, Royce had a bad connection last. Remember, there was such a lag.
I did. I wasn't plugged into my router. It's the first time I've done that in like 8 or 9 months.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Every time Dan would speak, he didn't know he was trying to start speaking, and you would go and chop him. It was hilarious.
Oh my God! Is that what the recording looks like too?
Oh yeah.
I don't. Dad's like, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We're supposed to be professionals.
No. No.
I have an announcement. I got an announcement. I am directly plugged in to the router now.
Oh, you are?
Yes. I have a laptop that I'm using, and I finally got it. I had to order an adapter to go from the router to the adapter to the computer because it's USB.
Yeah, I'm straight to router too.
I don't go in and out. I haven't quite got the my lighting down yet, but I've got where I'm not going in and out of focus the whole time I'm doing it,
That's me, because I just don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm on a hotspot.
What are you doing?
I'm on a hotspot. It's like you have internet anywhere. You take it with you.
Well, you're pretty decent for a hotspot,
Yeah, this is a hotspot. I use hotspots. It's a high-end hotspot, but still, that's why you're at mercy of the moment.
Yeah, well, we haven't had any more than 3 Lou's on at the same time yet tonight.
Hey, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do something. I made up a YouTube playlist since we can't stream music on the show without getting a copyright strike, I made up a playlist that I'm going to post in the chat. And what this playlist is, it's basically all Dallas blues artists. It's going to show their song. Then the next song will be the modern version, remake of it. And I've done that to 5 different artists. So there's like 10 songs on this playlist. So you can see, where Led Zeppelin came up with this song. Where did it originate from? So you can see it.
Okay, cool.
So that's a bad thing about getting copyright strikes. It'd be cool if we could stream audio. Music through here. But
I know.
Right.
So you've got something you're gonna actually play now, or?
No. I'm just gonna post the link to that playlist.
Okay.
It's got a link that they can click on to check it out. Yeah, well, copyrights are there for a reason. Speaking of the blues, in Chuck Berry, those guys didn't. The Beach Boys ripped off Chuck Berry hard, and he didn't get any royalties for a long time for that 12-bar blues progression of Johnny Be Good that was used over and over. The Beatles, back in the USSR, that's Johnny Be Good. Okay, so that was done over and over by a lot of white bands, and they didn't, he didn't get the money until later. Now people, well, hey, justice was done. Yeah, how would you like it if it took 30 years for you to get money for a job you did back in, 0100? And that's the thing that happened back then to these guys, and thank God it's not happening anymore.
Do you think you're saying that Chuck Berry pretty much created that progression?
Well, I'm not saying no. I won't say that, but I will say that his song, the 12-bar blues, is created by a conglomerate of people. However, Johnny Be Good was probably the first big hit that you really heard it. Is my point. Yeah. It's it went mainstream with that version of that song, and it's us white guys that heard that then begat back in the USSR, the Beach Boys taking it, that's what I'm saying there. Yeah. So Chuck definitely, because that's the best way you can copyright something. It's recorded, it's posted up. He gets credit for it at that level. Yeah. Was he the inventor? I doubt that.
Some of these
little bonus, right? Yeah.
Some of those old blues guys weren't really good guys either. Lead Belly.
No.
Now, Lead Belly actually went to prison for murder.
Oh, did he?
It's like today's rap artist, right?
Yeah,
well, he must have had the blues, that's for sure.
Yeah, he was jailed for.
He had the orange.
So he was singing the blues, was he?
Yeah, he went to
Lumars.
He went to prison for murder.
I'm going to throw some names out and see if anybody wants to react to any of them. Of course, Son House, the one that was making fun of Robert Johnson for being a horrible guitar player before he, converted. Then you've got Bessie Smith, Robert Johnson, of course, B.B. King, T-Bone Walker. Yeah, that's an old blues name. Muddy Waters. I love Muddy Waters. I had a Muddy Waters tape, boy. I used to listen to that to death. I still think I have I probably still have the CD actually. Let's see, Little Walter, Lonnie Johnson, John Lee Hooker. I saw John Lee Hooker in concert, and that was a fun show too. He's a very talkative guy as well. Blind Lemon Jefferson, Elmore James. Now, when I went on that blues cruise, I think I already mentioned this, but Etta James was supposed to be the big act that showed up, and she didn't make it. Billie Holiday, Stevie Ray Vaughan, of course. We've got, I'm skipping some I don't even recognize the names. Lead Belly, Howlin' Wolf, very recognizable names. Big Bill Brunsey. You guys all heard of Big Bill Brunsey? Sonny Boy Williamson. Blind Blake. Memphis Minnie.
Now T-Bone.
Sonny Boy Williamson 2. The first one was Sonny Boy Williamson 1. There's also a Sonny Boy Williamson 2. And Albert King and Freddie King, they were both great. No relationship to B.B. King, but I
saw Albert King.
I think Albert King was, to me, the best guitar player of the bunch. I'm not talking B.B., but Eddie and Al. Freddie and Albert. I'm sorry.
B.B. was cool. B.B. had a whole thing going on, man.
Junior Wells. I saw Junior Wells. He was on our blues cruise, and he spent more time lighting his pipe while he was up on stage. And he was always lighting his pipe. You know?
What's in the pipe?
I didn't get a chance to ask him.
Yeah.
What kind of pipe was it?
But he was entertaining though. Junior Wells, Mississippi John Hurt, Ray Charles.
Yeah, Ray, baby, Ray.
Big Mama.
He found his own sound.
Yeah. Albert Collins. I remember Albert Collins. He was good. Otis Spann. Reverend Gary Davies. Blind Boy Fuller. A lot of blind blues artists. What's up with that? Hound Dog Taylor. He ain't nothing but a hound dog. Buddy Guy, of course. Rock all time. Mississippi Fred McDowell, Slim Harpo, Etta James. Okay. Let's see, who else do we have here? Otis Rush. Again, I'm skipping. Magic Sam. Reading the ones I'm a little more familiar with. Memphis Slim, Willie Brown, John Mayall and the Blues Breakers featuring Eric Clapton. That is great music right there. That predates a lot of Clapton, Cream and Blind Faith and all that, and a lot of solo stuff. Well, who remembers they used to paint on the walls in England, Clapton is God, like in 66-ish. He was, I don't know that his popularity is where it was back then, or even where it was a few years ago. I'm not sure why. I did an Eric Clapton unboxing. I had a bunch of good albums and stuff, and it's pretty much stayed in the basement. I mean, it's just
he's gone through phases, but he's hung in there though.
Yeah.
All these years.
He's a great guitar player.
Things move on. Things move on.
Yeah, things move on. Taj Mahal. Well, that's an old name, Taj Mahal. Let's see. James Cotton. James Cotton was pretty well known. Sunhouse.
Hey Royce, I know you're a big Hendrix fan.
Yes, I am.
And when Jimi Hendrix plays the guitar behind his head?
Yes.
You know where he got that from?
No, I do not.
T-Bone Walker.
Did he really?
Oh, really?
T-Bone Walker was first.
I never heard that before.
And also Chuck Berry. They said here Chuck Berry emulated his staccato guitar licks. He said which laid the foundation for rock. So
no kidding.
So what we have learned is that musicians throughout time rip each other off. There, we'll summarize it one line. I mean, we have. I mean, we all are inspired by each other. So I'll use the other word instead of ripping.
You grab a lick here and there,
I've seen when I saw Terry Bozzio from Missing Persons, and I saw him lift his left leg during the US Festival while he went around the top. Next thing you know, I'm in the middle of a drum competition, and I'm trying to be a little bit different than everyone else. I started lifting my left leg, and that's all the producers talked about was me lifting my left leg while I leaned back. He's out of balance. He's amazing. Wow, he's crazy. So you watch these other artists, you get inspired, and you take it and make it your own. That's what we're learning here as musicians and the people watching. And that's the evolution of music. And that's why it's going to keep getting better, and it's going to keep growing. And when your favorite people are passing away, it's okay. They're not going to die. It's going to live throughout the music. Some young guy's going to see that shit, and he's just like today. We were looking at young bands today sound just like Zeppelin. It's going to keep going, folks. Hang in there.
Right.
Also, you look at AC/DC, the Chuck Berry move that Angus does.
Oh,
I mean, people, people love seeing that.
Yeah. Never gets.
Yeah.
Pete Townsend doing his pinwheel.
Marvin here is right.
Yep.
Paul Buttersfield Blues Band. What a great band, Marvin. Thank you. Thank you for
bringing
that up. There's a lot of them. I mean, there's so many we haven't mentioned. I mean, the list is just practically endless.
My hour is up.
We've got another couple of podcasters here. We've got Bip Bop Boom. He's got a great show, and I've been on his show or watched it at least, and I've seen him on other people's shows where he's a participant on the show, and he's a super great guy. If you can, go subscribe to Bip Bop Boom. He's really got a good show, and he's a great guy.
I like
You're
the
really
name.
enjoying. And then we also
we
also have our brother in arms here, Michael Nolan, the Bottom Line.
Oh, hey,
And
Michael.
Michael.
I gotta tell you, folks, anybody that hasn't watched Michael Nolan, The Bottom Line, needs to go watch him. I mean, Michael has maybe the fastest growing show I've seen on YouTube. I'm sorry. And Michael's fantastic. Everybody loves him. He completely blew up. And I've never seen so many comments in his comments section. I was in there last night watching his latest video. And he's made videos of participating on our show with us and made little short clips of that, several minutes long. He's great, man. We totally love Michael Nolan here. And Michael, if you wanted to come on, I mean, we're actually kind of getting near the end right now. We're usually closing right now.
Yeah, he can take my spot. I have to go. I've got to go. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Peace out. Yeah, everybody rock on.
Okay,
Thank you,
Lou,
people,
thanks,
for
brother.
listening and watching. All right, till next week. Adios.
See you, Lou.
Next week.
All righty. All right. Hey, what about Blue Lou?
Okay, Michael. Well, thank you. Next time, yeah. No, I really enjoyed your video. We talked about the Beatles and Revolver and Revolver and some of the other albums, and I talked about the Parlophone original pressings I have of Revolver, Help, and the original pressing I have of the White Album, and it was a good conversation. I really enjoyed it. Last night's show was great, Michael. Thank you. Okay, so Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, another Dallas artist that I've actually visited his gravesite, Freddie King.
Freddie King, yeah.
Yeah, Freddie King. I've been to his gravesite. He's buried over at Sparkman Hillcrest Cemetery here in Dallas.
Okay.
And, he had a lot of tunes, too, that like Jeff Beck did a remake of his song, Going Down.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that song. I'm going down, 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 down. So that was a Freddie King song.
Heard it. I have heard it, yeah.
What else did he do? He's also Eric Clapton. Well, wait a minute. Jeff Beck and Eric Clapton recorded and toured with him.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Cool.
Freddie King was great. And Albert King, was Albert King his brother or no relation?
I'm not sure.
I think there's some kind of relation.
They were brothers, but I could be wrong.
Cousins or brothers or something.
Yeah.
Because I saw Albert King warmed up at a concert in Vegas once, a long time ago. And I didn't even know nothing about Albert King, but I think they introduced him as some sort of relative to B.B. King.
Yeah, I saw Albert King open up for ZZ Top. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that probably was good. Yeah, definitely. Kind of blew everybody away when I seen him because nobody really knew that much about him, and he came out and kicked ass,
Right.
Always nice.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you saw a lot of stuff back in Vegas, didn't you?
Yeah, what? I'll just tell you one quick one that blew my mind when I went and seen ZZ Top. You remember the Ice Palace?
Yeah, oh yeah. I saw the flute player
Jethro Tull
at the Ice Palace. Yeah,
Ian Anderson, right?
Ian Anderson.
I don't know that much about them, but I saw them once or twice.
Yeah.
But anyway, Brownsville Station opened up for ZZ Top. Huh. You guys are familiar with Brownsville Station?
Oh yeah, smoking
in the boys' room, smoking in. And I'm gonna tell you something. Right. They stole the show. Blew me away.
Albert and Freddie King are no relation. Thank you, Deadlock. Appreciate it.
Yeah, none of the Kings were related, and all those other artists had the Blind in their name too. Blind Lemon Jefferson. Right. There are a couple others that had the Blind name.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well. Richie. I left Vegas before I turned 21. I left at 18 years old.
I remember.
Thank God for fake IDs. We all had them back then. And it's brown hair, brown eyes, 160 pounds. You could do anything you wanted in Las Vegas.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And that back then didn't have to be so much a state ID either.
No, that's right.
A lot of people had like student IDs, other kind of employer IDs, and this and that, and a lot of them worked.
Hey, Richie, here's my nephew, Todd Pattison. He's a great musician. Really? Everybody should go to Todd Pattison's channel. He's got a good channel. It's all original music. He plays every instrument. Got a great singing voice, and he's really got a nice studio set up there because he sounds fantastic.
I'm now your nephew, so
well, it's Betty's sister's son.
Okay.
Yeah, Betty's
the one that lives where the one I just met online not too long ago, or on Facebook.
That might have been Jeannie. You know, she
Jeannie,
had a
right.
son named Greg who passed away last year.
Oh, okay.
He grew up with the twins. He was very close to us, and you know, he spent the night all the time, went places with us during the day and things like that.
All right.
And he passed away. It was very, very sad. We went back to the funeral.
I remember that.
And you know, Todd has a brother that also passed away. It was another nephew of mine.
Wow.
Tommy Pattison. But anyway,
you know,
so Todd, I keep telling Todd, anytime you want to come on the show, man, why don't you bring a video of your music we can play? I'd really like to
That'd be nice.
Show everybody. But go to Todd Pattison's channel, and you'll be really impressed. He's got some great stuff there.
I will. I'll check it out.
And subscribe to it as well.
Okay.
You know, Bip Bop Boom mentioned Blind Willie Johnson, and that's another Dallas blues artist, and had a big influence on Led Zeppelin. And he recorded back in the 1927, 1928, I believe. And he wrote the song "Nobody's Fault But Mine." And of course, Led Zeppelin did a remake of that back in 77, 76.
Right. Yeah, Led Zeppelin remade a lot of things. I mean, they've got a lot of songs here, you know, that they more or less copied, you know, which is okay. Everybody, and some of the people they copied them from had copied them, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they started getting, you know, good play, you know, that anybody really cared, and then everybody wanted to get paid, which is natural. I mean, they should get paid.
You know, you did a show a while back about musicians. What are we going to do when all these great classics?
Well, yeah, when all our legends, they're all getting really old and they're all starting to pass away. You know.
You know, I've just got a good feeling there's going to be some new legends. It's going to bring back that same type of thing, but in their way, and that'd be great. You know, that'd be great.
Yeah,
because that stuff never died and it never will die. So there's got to be some new legends in it.
Well, I feel the same way. I can remember in 1969 in high school listening to Led Zeppelin, wondering if people would be listening to it 10 years from now.
Right.
Look at the time that's gone by. You know, Lou Mars brought up something interesting. He said, from 1970 to today is the same distance in time from 1970 going backwards to 1918.
Yeah.
The same amount of years.
Cool.
Huh?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I think things really changed a lot between 1918 and 1970.
Well, especially in music, they did.
There was barely cars in 1918, you know. But
you would hear nothing like
now,
rock and roll. Nothing like rock and roll in 1918.
That's right.
Although they did have some pretty good big band sounds.
Yeah,
they must have had something.
They must have had something. Yeah, we just don't know what it was.
Well, they had some honky tonkin' back there in some of them Western saloons.
I can imagine, yeah.
And if you listen to some Stones, you'll hear that honky tonkin' piano in some of those songs.
And maybe the Chitlin Circuit had some.
There you go, the Chitlins. My new band, the Chitlins.
Guys, I got to get going here. I got heart surgery. I've got heart surgery in the morning.
We've actually ran over in time. What we're trying to do is stay to an hour. It's really been hard to do, though. But I want to thank everybody that joined us here. You know, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I noticed I have 2 non-subscribers for every subscriber watching my show. I've noticed that in my analytics. It's like, please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything. Just subscribe. If you want to hit the bell, you get notified every time a show's coming on, so you can be reminded, so you don't miss it. And hit the like button, please. If you hit the like button, the thumbs up button on the screen, it tells the algorithm. It lets the algorithm and YouTube know that, it alerts them to recommend our show. There's always people searching for something to watch on YouTube. And if you're getting a lot of likes when you have a show on, then you get recommended to these people. And so the more likes you get, the more you get recommended. And that's just a small part of the equation, you know. Subscribers and views and all that are huge, you know. And the more of those you do, the more your channel's going to grow, you know. And we all want our channels to grow. So do us all a favor here. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Hit the notification bell. It looks like I have another shout out. He's joining us late. Psycho's Platter. I was just over there at his show last week watching. Psycho Platter's fun guy. Been doing podcasting for a very, very long time. Everybody go check out Psycho's Platter. And he's saying good evening all. He just joined as we're just now shutting the show down. But we appreciate you showing up and thinking about us. We really do. And so we're going to say good night to everybody. Zep Pearl and Bip Bop Boom and Michael Nolan and Deadwax 66 and Caitlin and Gloria and all our friends. We want to say goodbye to all you. Todd Pattison, my nephew, who's got a great show, makes all his own music, plays every instrument. And Dana Hansen, we appreciate you being here, Dana. Always a pleasure. DGH Records, and just want to thank everybody. I know I can't find everybody's name right now, but I want to thank everybody for joining the show. We really appreciate you, and that's what's going on in Royce's world today.
I want to add a plug too.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to be a guest on a friend of mine's channel on Wednesday night called Outlaw Video TV.
Oh, good.
We're going to be discussing the Pantera reunion.
Oh, good.
So we're going to be talking about that.
Yeah.
And the guy that owns the channel, he's actually grew up with Dimebag Darrell, so you know we all know him. So
okay, great.
So we're going to get our opinions on what we think about this upcoming tour next year.
So Dan, just the facts man, is who's talking now. And now, whose show are you going to be on again, so people know?
It's called Outlaw Video TV.
Outlaw Video, and that can be found on your channel, or you got to go to Outlaw Video TV.
It's on YouTube.
Just do a search. Okay. Yeah. Get some reminders out there on your channel for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. You know, I got heart surgery in the morning, but I should survive that, and I'll be on Wednesday night.
When do you have that?
Tomorrow morning.
Oh, Jesus!
It'll be my second one in a month.
A month?
Yeah. But
wow.
Supposedly after this surgery, I'm good to go. Everything else looks good. So they got this. You know, we're monitoring the situation, which is better than a lot of guys.
That way.
All right, guys.
Good luck, Dan. We'll be praying for you, and you're going to do fine.
Definitely.
You're too tough. You're too tough and ornery to have any setbacks.
Well, my son says I'm a tough son of a bitch. So
you are a tough son of a bitch. All right. Okay, everybody. Good night. Thank you very much.
Good night.
See you later.
Adios.